What if you find some beautiful objects like this and you like to take just parts of it and use it within other objects? Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use two utility functions, the split and flip function. I'll start by focusing to removing this part from this big object. And by the way, I got this object from MyMiniFactory. So I'll take the cube selection and I want to cut this out. So I'm moving it up from the bottom. I already measured that, it's 251. And as you can see, this moves it to this location. If I click exact selection is on and I click confirmation icon, this will cut. This may take a few seconds because as you can see, this is a large object, 500,000 polygons. And this, by the way, is over 25 megabytes, which is an object that I think Tinkercad wouldn't be able to open even. So now I go to move, I'm going to move this away. And as you can see, this is not going to work. It's still a part of this object, so this can't actually work. So I'm going to undo this move. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the split. And as I split them, you see this is actually preparing now as a separate object. It's storing it. So it takes also 2-3 seconds to complete that. And then as you can see now, I have a separate object. So now if I'm going to move it away, you can see I have this other object. And now I can go to File and Save Objects. This will be saved as an object separately that I can then go and load into any project that I create and reuse this nice piece as I choose. So this is how you want to edit, use them to kind of take away parts from other objects, or if you want just to be able to 3D print in pieces, maybe you want to print this separately and take it out and split into pieces. This is a good combination of cube selection and this. This is one example. Now let me show you how this could be used actually in real 3D modeling. So I'm going to take a very basic example. I'm taking a basic cube. I'm going to select the top face and I'm going to use Inset. So my goal is to create kind of a box with a cover that will be standing kind of fitted in. So I'm going to make it 10. Thickness will be 10. And in SelfCAD, whenever you do something, we select them in anticipation that you're going to use it later. You can deselect, just clicking on the grid, but now I want to actually do something else with it, so it saves me the selection. I want to move this a negative of 10, so this will kind of set in like this. And now this is still selected. I'm going to actually, first I'm going to split this off. So this is where split comes in modeling. I'm going to split this off as a separate piece, as you can see. But this is not an object yet, and besides I want this to have some thickness. This is just a plane. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the modify and use actually add thickness. And I'm going to add a thickness of 10, whatever I subtracted before. And now you can see it's flushed with the cube. If you see over here, you hover, or if you select them, you can see it. But otherwise, this is a separate object, completely separate. But this is actually not yet complete. So if I'm going to move this away, you can see we actually don't have yet the placeholder where this can sit on top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my inverse selection to deselect this and select this, just makes it easy. And I'm going to select this inner face. I'll turn off my move so it allows me to select. The gizmo was blocked. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't click on the face selection, that's why. So I click on face selection, I select this face, and now I'm actually going to show another tool what flip is doing. And over here, let's see what I'm going to do. So logically, I can add thickness to it the same way I did it before, and I added thickness and moved it up. So if this is the bottom of it, this cube size was 100, and I need 10 to fit this in, so I need basically to move it up by 90, and that's what you would expect. But as you can see, it behaves strangely. It doesn't do what I expect them to do. So I can actually fix this for a moment. I can make minus 90, and this will actually work. But this doesn't make sense. Why is this happening? So let's exit from this and show what flip and explain what this is doing. So every object has something called a normal. Every face, basically, actually, every face or polygon has a normal. And that's the way where it's pointing towards the camera. If you look at it, which way it's pointing. So if you think about, we had an enclosed box. So everything was pointing outwards. And the face that is inside is pointing basically inside to the box negatively, not to the camera. It's kind of an inverted normal called. So in order to make this work as expected, what I'll go now and I'll go flip. So I selected that face and I'm flipping that normal basically. You can see actually it changes the color also. And now if I'm going to go to my add thickness and I'm going to add the way intuitively it should work, add 90, you can see this basically made it nicely. So you can see now I have this part over here, and I can basically make this smaller box fit into it. So that's one way of doing it. I'm going to show one other example. And actually this is going to be renamed to flip normals. The reason this was named flip, because initially it was doing a different function as well. In case you do profiles, it was acting as a mirror, but then we made a new tool and we forgot to rename this. Actually, we're going to rename it to flip normals. So I'm going to show you now another tool and actually also use the flip, mirror to do that. So let's go to a basic sketch. I'm going to create a very basic sketch example that I may have used in other videos before. A simple rectangle, and in the rectangle I'm going to add some circle. So I'm going to add, let's say, a circle over here. I'm trying to find the green line to snap it to something. That green line, maybe the center or not. Okay, so I'm going to type in over here, let's say 30. I want to make the size of 30. And now this is actually one part of this profile. It has to be one profile in order to work. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to select these. So I've shown before examples where I simply delete this, and this will become kind of like a trim tool, and actually much more flexible. And you can look at my video about trim and explain that. If I'm now going to press Control plus S, which is the hotkey for a split, and this splits it into a separate object. So now what my idea is to actually make this, let's first fill it and then we'll see. I'm going to, or first flip normals. So if I want to, not flip normals, I mean use mirror. So if I'm going to mirror that, I have multiple options here to mirror, front, left, different options. I'm actually going to mirror around an edge, and I'm going to select this particular edge. So now you see this is kind of mirrored around this edge. There's no, these things have no normals. So if you're going to see now in utilities, the flip is actually disabled. So instead of disabling, at some point this was acting as a mirror, but now it's a different tool with more flexibility. So yeah, flip is just for normals. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to, in my tools, I'm going to add to fill polygons. So I filled this part, and now I'm going to deselect this, and I'm going to select this remaining piece, and I'm going to go fill polygons to this as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use add thickness, and I'm going to add thickness, let's say 100, and I'm filling it. Okay, so now as you can see already we got this piece. Now I'm going to go to the other piece, this one, and I'm going to use now extrusion. I can do it with add thickness, but just to show a different thing. So if I'm going to extrude now this to 100, this will do the same thing basically. It filled it, and as you can see now I have the separate piece. You can barely see the difference unless I change color. You can see the difference how this fits in, and you can print them separately and kind of slide them in. But you can see now this actually has a hole over here, and because the extrusion extruded this and it didn't fill this, so now what I'm going to need to do is, again, I'll need to use fill polygons, which, as with SelfCAD, most of the tools, if not all, are reusable. So in this case, fill polygons can fill an object where it's missing a face, or it can fill profiles. But if I used add thickness, I didn't need to fill this. Add thickness has also a different use case. If I decide not to fill this, but rather adding some thickness over here, so I can rather go to add thickness again, and over here let's add 3, or actually -3, so it will be from the inside. So I'll go -3, and if you preview, so you can see now this is still manifold, but in this case it's just added the thickness over here. So this is basically different ways you can use them to model, but now you know what mirror is doing, what split and what flip is doing. Please let me know if you want me to explain any other tool, and thanks for watching. Bye.